Lauded be thy name, O Lord my God. I entreat thee by thy name, through which the hour hath struck, and the resurrection came to pass, and fear and trembling seized all that are in heaven and all that are on earth, to rain down out of the heaven of thy mercy and the clouds of thy tender compassion what will gladden the hearts of thy servants, who have turned towards thee and helped thy cause. Keep safe thy servants and thy handmaidens, O my Lord, from the darts of idle fancy and vain imaginings, and give them from the hands of thy grace a draught of the soft-flowing waters of thy knowledge. Thou truly art the Almighty, the most exalted, the ever-forgiving, the most generous. Good morning and welcome to One Baha'i, that regular show where I just share a few personal thoughts about the Baha'i faith. It's nothing official, just me, one individual, one Baha'i. So I read this prayer just now for a few reasons. First, it's really captured my attention these last few days. But also at the request of a friend to put it at the very beginning so that they could use it as a video for a feast or something. I can't remember what he said. Anyways, I thought I would put it at the beginning so that you could stop it easily if you wanted. Of course, I always prefer when people read themselves as opposed to listening to somebody just read a prayer on a video. If I set it to music, that would be different. I'd love to hear it set to music. Anyways, I read this prayer a few days ago, and one word caught my eye. Soft flowing. It's a single word. It's hyphenated. Give them from thy hands of thy grace a draught of the soft-flowing waters of thy knowledge. Now, before I get to that, I had to go back to the beginning, and I had to figure out what Baha'u'llah was saying. When I remove all the clauses, all the sub-clauses, I get, I entreat thee to rain down what will gladden the hearts of thy servants. That's what he's asking us. That's what he's asking God for us. I entreat thee by thy name, through which the hour hath struck and the resurrection came to pass, and fear and trembling seized all that are in heaven and all that are on earth. I entreat thee to rain down out of the heaven of thy mercy and the clouds of thy tender compassion what will gladden the hearts of thy servants. Oh, and which servants? The ones who have turned towards thee and helped thy cause. But once again, it's about the heart. Unite the hearts of thy servants. My first counsel to thee is this: possess a pure, kindly, and radiant heart. It feels to me as if everything around us is shaken. The hour has struck. The resurrection has come to pass. Fear, trembling has seized everything. And he is asking God to send down what will gladden the hearts of the servants. It's really beautiful, isn't it? And then that second half of the prayer. Keep safe thy servants and thy handmaidens. Sorry, my coffee's right here. I'm going to grab it because I have a tickle in my throat this morning. Keep safe thy servants and thy handmaidens. But he's not just asking God to keep us safe from anything in particular. Keep them safe from the darts of idle fancy and vain imaginings. I find it intriguing that this is put into the section on protection in most prayer books, because I'm not certain that I see it that way. I mean, protecting us from the darts of idle fancy and vain imaginings, absolutely. I guess I think of the protection prayers as more physical, but this is more mental, isn't it? Idle fancy, those ideas that lead to nothing. Remember, everything in the faith is about action. If it doesn't lead to action, what good is it? Well, vain imaginings, I've come to a new appreciation of that phrase. Somebody pointed out to me in some book, I don't remember where it was, that the vain imaginings are those conceptions that we have, that we expect. For example, I always love to use the example of the old Christian paintings. I don't know why I like it, but, the halo around the head, it's a vain imagining. If St. Peter or St. Paul were walking around the street with a big halo around their head, how could you miss them? That is a vain imagining. And because of that vain imagining, many of us miss the truth. We miss what is really happening because we have this vain idea. Sorry, I'm actually recording in my garage today, and a truck just drove by. My wife was recording some music the other day, and she put up this gorgeous screen behind me, and I'm just using it as a backdrop while people are asleep in my house. So anyways, vain imaginings. He's asking God to keep us safe from these. I don't know when this prayer was written, but I like to imagine it, before his declaration. Maybe it is, it doesn't matter. But then he continues on and he says, he asks God to give us a drink from the soft flowing waters of his knowledge. Educate us. Give us a little bit of information which will protect us from those darts of idle fancy and vain imaginings, I presume. And as we gain this knowledge, as we begin to understand these divine teachings and see this great panoply of history before us, we recognize where all these tremblings are coming from. It's as if we were only alive for a month, and it's the beginning of spring, and nobody in living history has seen green trees before. And all we see is these melting structures of beautiful ice before us, and they're all melting. And, at the end of winter, everything is kind of slushy and muddy and But we remember these stories of how they were glistening and gorgeous and beautiful and sparkling. And we may be trembling in despair because all these ice-made structures of our society are melting before our very eyes. But to one who understands the cycle of history, they understand that the spring is coming, that the beautiful colors and flowers are so much grander than those mere structures of ice. A little bit of information can ease our heart during these very difficult times. But I want to go back to that word that intrigued me. Soft flowing. It's an interesting adjective. When we hear about the divine teachings, it's often referred to as water, the life-giving waters of God's teaching, the Word of God. And here it has been put into a cup for our pleasure. Well, maybe not our pleasure, but for our ease of taking it. I mean, it's soft flowing, so it's like a brook. It's like a river, like a soft river. We could reach down and we could drink it, but it's much easier to drink from a cup. When I first read that word, soft flowing, I was reminded of a concept that an elder shared with me once. He talked about, she talked about the difference between a masculine rain and a feminine rain. She said that the masculine rain was that hard, driving, beating down rain that pools on the surface and flows off. Doesn't do a lot of good to anything. It's really good for erosion, actually. And she compared it to that feminine rain, which falls to the earth. It's a gentle sprinkling of the water. It hits the earth and it soaks in, as opposed to the masculine rain, which bounces off the surface. And I remember years ago, I was sitting inside, and it was a masculine rain outside. And after it finished, I was moved to go out to my garden and take a spade and dig into the earth and pull a section away and see how far down those rains went. And it was a significant amount of rain, but it only went about, I don't know, it was like an inch, like a few centimeters into the earth. That was it. It just watered the surface. And all this other water flowed away. And I thought that was intriguing. And then a short while later, we had a beautiful feminine rain. It was just a gentle sprinkling. But I noticed it was the same amount. It was like a few inches of rain. It's the same amount of rain. So I went out. Now, this is days later, so it's days later, okay? I went out again, and I put the spade into the earth, and I dug. And that water soaked probably like this much. It was a significant amount more that soaked into the earth. And I've thought about that a lot. And here, Baha'u'llah is asking us to receive these soft flowing waters. It's not a whitewater rapids of God's knowledge. It's the soft flowing waters. And I think about these waters and our role in it. You know, Baha'u'llah often talks about the flood of divine knowledge. And I think about how a flood wipes away everything in its path. Now, this isn't what he's talking about. He's talking about these soft-flowing waters, not these raging storms. We're in the middle of a raging storm. And he's asking for us to be safe. Now, it seems to me that Baha'u'llah received these waters from God and has passed them on to us through his writings. And our role in teaching is to take this water and gently hand it to someone else. Not throw it in their face. You don't take a cup of water and go, "Here, you want some water?" Splash. No, he's asking us to do it gently. It is as if we are to be the recipient of these soft-flowing waters and in turn pass on these soft-flowing waters. I was mentioning this to a friend yesterday, and it occurred to me that we have the ability, as humans, to impede the growth of the faith. We can't stop it, but we can slow it down. We have that ability, unfortunately. We also have the ability to hasten the spread of the faith. We can be the conduit of these soft-flowing waters and pass them on so that people can take them and make coffee with them and drink them. But we also have the ability to be a block, to be a wall, to be a dam to those waters. We can never stop it. Let me put the coffee down. If we are that dam, if we put that wall in front of somebody, the waters keep flowing. They keep coming in. And they rise and they rise and they rise. And eventually they spill over the top. We've slowed it down, but we can't stop it. Sometimes the waters go around. It will always continue on. So as I read this prayer, I think, how does it impact us in our daily life? Well, to start, my friends are trembling. They're trembling. The hour has come. The resurrection has passed. Fear, trembling has seized so many people that I know. So my job is to try to help gladden their hearts. That's what I feel Baha'u'llah is asking me to do. Remember, I have this idea that if God is the all-knowing, we have a bit of knowledge. If Baha'u'llah is asking God to gladden our hearts, then we can try to help gladden someone else's. He is asking God to protect us from idle fancy and vain imaginings through the soft-flowing waters of His knowledge. And I believe that that is our job too. As we read our friends' concerns and comments on Facebook and other social media, we often see the arts of idle fancy and vain imaginings, and we can slam them. Oh, you're an idiot! Or we can be gentle. We can be that soft-flowing water. We can move that soft-flowing water towards them, help them see better knowledge. I have a lot of friends who thought that masks were useless, that COVID was a hoax. And I would point out the science for them. One of them said, "Oh, masks are no good at all." I said, "Really? Why do you think that? What are your concerns?" And he said, "Well, viruses are so small, they pass through the fiber." And I said, "That's a very good point. It is. It really is. If the viruses moved on their own, but they don't. They move through water droplets. So the masks, they're not designed to stop the virus. They're designed to stop the water droplets that carry the virus." And I said, you raise a very good point. And here's why the masks work. And he changed his mind. I didn't call him an idiot. May have thought it. No. But I tried to be gentle. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that prayer this morning. Thank you very much for joining. I would love to hear your thoughts. You know the basics. Hit subscribe, hit like, whatever. Feel free to comment. It's the comments that I value the most, to be honest. I love to hear what your thoughts are. So, thank you very much again. We might talk tomorrow, but we'll probably talk next week. Take care.